circuit.
Mercedes onto the start-finish straight, and will get the last lap board this time around at 4 minutes to 3. It's very, very busy down at the Ravenel S, though, so Maro Engel is going to have to just ease his way through and make sure that all of this traffic has seen him. Before the Bathurst 12 Hours this year, Mercedes hadn't won an Intercontinental GT Challenge race since 2023. Now it might have 2 in a row after that great win at the start of the year in Bathurst, and Mercedes on course to have 10 IGTC wins, one fewer than the record holders BMW, but they still have 24 kilometres to complete safely in order to mop up those records.
And what you didn't see at the very start, just coming to start the final lap, the number 80 Winward Racing Mercedes was in the middle of the track down the start-finish straight, and there was a Porsche to the left that suddenly, no, it was a little Toyota, something came off it, bit of bodywork, bit of tubing, something, and it bounced across the track. Imagine the irony of that, if that just caught out the car that, until its teammate met its problems and parked up, was right in the lead battle. Since then, almost home and hosed, but until that checkered flag is greeted, things can still happen here at the Nurburgring. Greasy circuit. Are you on the right tyres? Mirko Bortolotti's got no choice whatsoever other than to thread the eye of the needle, which he does as he comes up towards the end of another lap. He's just coming up towards Tiergarten. He's got to pick his lines. It's a much slower car. Has he seen it? He had to go to one side and then the other. Eventually, it got out of the way. But just bear in mind, we've been dealing in tenths of a second here. He's holding on to second place. 86 seconds to be added to his time at the end of the race. And the chasing Walkenhorse Motorsport Aston Martin is there or thereabouts on the time. It's down to this final lap.
The other thing is about the BMW number 99. How close does that need to get to the Aston Martin to snatch third position away from the 84 Lamborghini?
It needs to gain nearly 20 seconds, right? Even with the great Laurent Dries Van Toor, don't think that's happening.
Well, a minute and 11 takes us, with the 26 seconds it's trailing the Aston Martin. That's over a minute and a half. I'm not sure it's quite as many as 20, but it's still probably okay for the Lamborghini. Assuming, of course, that all of the timings on the various graphics that I can see are accurate. A minute and 14 seconds is now the gap that separates 84 Lamborghini from the 34 Aston Martin. And it looks to be about 26 seconds still for, it's 28 seconds now, so that for Lambo to get a car on the podium is heading in the right direction, and it will slot in between the 34 Walkenhorst car and the chasing Rover Racing BMW.
Yeah, certainly the last lap was very, very good for Matteo Drudi. He's got slightly more suitable tyres. He's got cut slicks versus the slicks on the 84 Lamborghini. And in one of the longer timing sectors, he gained best part of 5 seconds. And bear in mind, the previous lap, they were separated by the difference with the penalty added of just 0.145 of a second or whatever it was. It's still going to be very, very close. But for our race leader, Maro Engel, the sun is shining on him, shining on most of the Nordschleife. And in fact, windscreen wipers still on now, but that's because I think he's forgotten to turn them off.
We've just had a glimpse there of the Winward pit garage there, all the mechanics there. A little bit of a teary eye in one or two. I did mention the emotion of this. You're tired, you're dirty. The sheer emotion of relief that the car, your car, is on its final lap, heading towards the checkered flag first. The even bigger relief when it finally crosses the line to take the checkered flag, and the elation of all of that effort, all of that time, energy that's gone in. Because it's not just it's not a 24-hour race, it's a 24-hour race with a bit of 24 hours the previous night, 24 hours the previous day. Day and night working on that car, getting it honed, getting it prepped and readied for this race, and that's all the way down the pit lane as well. There are garages where cars haven't made it to the finish. There are garages where cars are in the midfield, but it's all the same. The challenge is getting the car to the finish over the 24-hour distance. That's the challenge of endurance racing, and that's the emotion we're about to see, and already beginning to build on that pit lane.
Mirko Bortolotti going to the high side of the Dupre Engineering Audi S3 limousine that runs as a VT2 four-wheel drive car. And congratulations to all at Dupre for celebrating 60 years as being founded. And I think it's 40 years of racing here at the Nurburgring as well, in one capacity or another. Aston Martin hopping, skipping its way through the latter portions of Hatzenbach. and just taking still, well, plenty of curb. The body language of this is Mattia Drudi car is still hustling like crazy. Compare it to Maro Engel, who's much more sedate, knowing he's got a 90-second lead over the Lamborghini, which is likely to be penalised at the end of this race. So the Aston Martin will move into second, and the BMW is still a bit too distant. But one or two sceptics suggest that if the rain's still pretty bad for the Lamborghini further around the lap, and maybe if it hits traffic, not hits traffic, but reaches some traffic that it's got to bide its time through, perhaps the opportunity for BMW to squeak a podium out of this is not all lost. But the difficulty is it's running out of sectors now on this final lap. So it'll be a 156 lap affair through so many changeable conditions, but amazingly the race was able to continue all the way through the night without the need for full neutralisation, and that despite there being quite a lot of low-hanging fog early this morning. And many of us thought, well, maybe the visibility between the marshal posts wasn't going to be sufficient like last year, but actually it has been absolutely fine here in the Eiffel. However, this is where I was about to say the rain has started to hit, but that's all to do with smoke. Still flares, the odd barbecue for a late Sunday lunch.
Just remember the 84 Red Bull Team Abt Lamborghini started on pole position, didn't get around the Grand Prix loop without harm on the opening lap, had to peel the back end into the back entrance of the pits while all its rivals were heading out onto the Nordschleife, replace a punctured tyre, go round the Grand Prix loop again and play catch-up, and it's been playing catch-up ever since. And looks at the Schnitzelam bit, Mercedes coming quite slowly there. It looks as though their valiant effort to get up to second place is going to be spiked. Needed to be clear by 86 seconds going on to the final lap. In the end, it was only 72, and around this lap on the ever greasier circuit, smoke in the air, a little bit of rain in the air, but certainly greasy, wet surface for all the drivers out on the track. I'm afraid the valiant effort for them may yet have second place turning to third. I think we can almost bank on that. And may yet have third turning to fourth. And I would say for this valiant comeback that started, 23 hours and 55 minutes ago, they deserve a spot on the podium. Will they be denied? I don't know. And
look how hard he's still pushing in that Lamborghini.
He has to.
Anything can happen. He's got to push all the way at the flag. You can't just decide that this is over. It's never over until it's over. And we're going to see Bertolotti trying to gain ground and secure a second place on the podium. It's no mean feat to finish in the first three in any kind of endurance race, but Bertolotti wants to consolidate that. Yes, he might have settled for the fact that he's never going to catch Maro Engel in the number 80. Now that Mercedes well up the road by 1 minute and 43 seconds at the last count, but he has got Drudi in the Aston Martin bearing down him, and his team will be telling him that as well, Bruce. They'll be monitoring the sector times and monitoring that gap, so that's why we're seeing Mirko Bortolotti, very experienced driver. He's been in his high pressured situations, so he knows exactly what he's got to do, and it's very, very high pressure considering that part of this Nordschleife is indeed damp and wet and it can like a magnet draw you to those barriers if you get it slightly wrong, just slightly.
But just as he was coming to the trickiest parts of the circuit, the sort of Her Acht and then the Brunch and beyond, he suddenly got not one, but two, but three, but five cars in a gaggle ahead of them. And he really had to go, I'm coming through, come what may. Now, when he catches them one or two at a time, that's sort of OK for him into the carousel. Sorry, I got him ahead of himself around the lap, because certainly coming towards the clock has passed 24 hours, and our race leader, Maro Engel, is heading for his first win here. He's along the dotting her. His first win here, let me finish the sentence, since 2016. The Mercedes' first win since 2016. A brand loyalty is something I admire thoroughly, but you don't get kept on by these manufacturers if you're not up to the salt, and he absolutely is. I mean, he has had so many successes for the Winwood Racing crew. They just get stronger year on year. A car limping home along the Dottinger Her, but is it our race leader? No, it isn't, because the blue and gold number 80 sweeps into the final sequence of corners. Johnny, the victory is theirs.
The special thing about 10 years ago for AMG was that Maro Engel overtook Christian Hohenadel on the final lap of that race. AMG have had to wait a decade to take victory at the Nurburgring 24 hours. They were desperate to do it this year, particularly with Max Verstappen part of their lineup. In the end, it's the sister car at Winwood Racing that will take the victory in 2026. And congratulations to Maro Engel, as you say, Bruce, who's in the lineup again, along with Lucas Stoltz, Fabian Schiller and Maxime Martin. And Maxime Martin was has experienced some great successes through the years, of course, with this brand and formerly with others as well. But tremendous effort from all 4 drivers as now the Lamborghini squeezes its way into Tiergarten for its final run to the line. An expert drive then from Mirko Bortolotti to ensure this car, by the looks of things, will finish 3rd once the penalty is issued for Luca Engstler. Bortolotti driving right now, and Patrick Niederhauser, and we're waiting for the 34 Aston Martin, car number for Mattia Drudi rather, for Valkenhorst Motorsport, and he sharing with Christian Krognes, Nicky Thiem and Felipe Fernandez-Laza in the natural elements by Valkenhorst Motorsport Aston Martin GT3. I'm getting beside myself after being up for 24 hours and witnessing this. So Mercedes from Lamborghini from Aston Martin, but it's very likely that this car will finish in 2nd position. Also, at least getting a finish in the race was the number 3 Mercedes, driven by Danny Juncadella, and that will have been in the same shot as the number 80 car came across the line. There's, by the looks of things, a code 60, yes, for the Aston Martin. Now, is the...
Oh, well, that could be the big difference.
Hang on a minute, because this is now going to stretch the gap between the Lamborghini and the Aston Martin, and another very late twist in this narrative gives 2nd place to Audi, to the Abt team, I beg your pardon, and to Red Bull Abt and their Lamborghini Huracan, because the Aston Martin, well, I need a gap to be sure of this, but they needed to be within 1 minute and 24 seconds, and surely that's now gone, Bruce.
Yeah, 1 minute and 26, I think, was the figure we're looking for. It was the 84 Lamborghini, that was where the 84 came, but 86 seconds was the penalty time. It got down to about 1 minute 15, therefore 75 seconds. The checkered flag is waiting for Mattia Drudi to come through and for that gap to be confirmed. Wait, come on, please come onto my timing screen. Great job, best result for Aston Martin here, but it was so close to being 2nd place. I don't know if it is or it isn't. How's your screen doing in terms of time split?
As well. Where is it, Bruce?
Still doing the maths on mine, but for Red Bull team out, got the pole position. They locked out the front row. Trouble for both of them. Winward Racing, though, they had 2 bullets in the gun. One fell short, having dominated the pair of them. One was running nose to tail through the night, but one of the cars has come through. And for Maro Engel, the first time he doesn't mind poor visibility since the start of the race. He's created that, but for he and the rest of the crew, that's his first win here for 10 years. Mercedes' first win here for 10 years, and you can afford him the glory of just making a mess of those tyres.
So Drudi crossing the line, 2 minutes and 28